Hi everyone and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Colin and I am a non-binary scientist and lover of makeup. And today I'm going to do a video of if I could only keep 10 palettes. I've seen this video pop up a few times recently, and I remember a bunch of times last year. So I thought I would give this a go. It seems like an interesting idea. I definitely have far more than 10 palettes, even though my channel is fairly new. And I wanted to see what I would pick if I could only keep 10 of them. It was a bit hard to choose. I started with about 16 palettes and slowly narrowed it down to 10. If you're curious about the makeup I have on today, this look should already be live on my channel. I used the Lethal is Dead collaboration between Lethal Cosmetics and Teresa is Dead, and that review is already live, and all of the other product descriptions will be listed in the description box below. So, if I could only keep 10 palettes, was hard to choose, but I do have a nice stack here of 10. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the Natasha Denona Zendo palette. So I'm going to open that up since it's nice and reflective. This is her newest palette, and I remember seeing a lot of mixed reaction to it. Some people really liked it, some people don't. My friend Steven likes to call it the Zen Don't palette. But I really like this. I love the tones in here. I love the mix of green, blue, and warm tones. This shade Balance here is one of the creamy matte shades, and it's perfect. I use it all the time, especially on days that I don't really want to look like I'm wearing makeup or want to do something quick just to add some definition to my face. I'll throw a little bit of concealer on my eyes, maybe mascara or not, this on my lid, and call it a day. And then I'll sometimes add Yama on top of that if I want a little bit of a sparkle, since it's this peach with a little bit of a green in it. All of the shades in here are kind of muted. So you've got the neutral browns, this red, these peachy tones, and then you've got this nice olive, dark olive matte, and then these greens and blues. And all of the shimmers are a little more subdued compared to some of her other shadows, which I think is why people didn't like it, but I enjoy this. I think it's really versatile, and even though it's not the most dramatic look like this that I'm gonna make from it, it's still really pretty and just looks great and works well. So I knew that would be on here. I just recently went to LA to see some friends now that everybody's vaccinated and things are open again. And this is the one palette I took with because I knew I could use the browns and maybe Zeal without worrying about anything, but I could add something a little sparkly if I wanted to as well. The second palette that I'm gonna include is the Lunar Beauty Moon Spell. So love the aesthetic of this, love all the aesthetics of Lunar Beauty. I need to get the rest of them. I want them, they're beautiful, I just haven't gotten them yet. I love the formula of this. I love that it looks like a spell book and looks like a book sitting on my shelf. The outside, I'm sure everybody's seen this before, but I just love this. I love the formula. I love the colors. It's got a couple neutrals, so I can do an easy neutral look. I've done Sarah and Kiki, or Winifred and Kiki, many times, topped with either Samantha or Mary if I want to do a little warmer or a little cooler. The greens are beautiful. Fiona has a really nice, deep teal shimmer. And I love these pink purple shades, especially these ones named after the Hallowell sisters. I love Charmed, so of course I was gonna love that, but Phoebe and Prue are two of the prettiest shades. I almost included the Kaleidos Lunar Lavender palette because I love those purple tones. I love purple, and I really like that like blue purple shimmer in there. But I went with this instead because I can get a similar look with these, and it has these other shades to use with it. The only shade I don't like in here is Hermione. I don't know if it immediately got hard pan or what, but it just doesn't seem to show up. Like, I try really hard and it doesn't really do anything. But even with the one dud shade, I think it's worth it. They blend beautifully, and every look I've done with this is amazing, and I get compliments on. It's so pretty, and I'm so happy I got this. I got it on sale around Halloween, this last Halloween, and I'm so happy I got it. And I can't wait to try more of their formulas. I just haven't yet because there's only so much money you can spend on makeup a month. The third palette I'm going to talk about today is the Flower Punk from Kaleidos, or Kaleidos. This is their newest palette as well. I love this. I think the packaging is amazing. I love the whole aesthetic of the launch. I am also wearing one of the lips from this launch. I think the magnet enclosure is really interesting. I like that you can fully take it off and just hold the mirror if you want. I do wish there's a way of clipping it like this so you could use it, but because of the magnets, it doesn't sit like that. That's really my one complaint. But I knew I had to have this in my 10 because it has these really beautiful green shades, this really dark olive, this olive shimmer, and then it's got these pinks and mints. And I have medium olive skin. I love olive tones on me, so I love these. I know when Teresa's dad talked about this, she said chlorophyll and golden age looked really similar on the eye to her, and it might just be a difference of skin tone because they definitely look different on me. But I do have that yellowy green base to my skin because I'm olive tone, and she is very much not olive tone and much lighter than me. These, if I want to do something simple and quick, these pink shades with stained glass on the lid or Aloe Cove, beautiful. I've done multiple looks with this, and I can't wait to use these, especially in the fall. I have a feeling once I'm back on campus, I'm going to be doing a lot with these shades. And the next palette, number 4, number 4 is going to be the Norns palette from Odin's Eye. I love this. This is the only Odin's Eye palette I have. I also got the highlighters from this, and those are beautiful. And I really wish I would have gotten the rest of the collection because I love this, and I really am drawn to the other palettes. I just didn't want to buy all of it at once, especially because I had not tried them. But now after trying this, I want the other palettes from this, I want their new collection, and I want some of their old stuff. I love this color story. I love how deep and dark most of these mattes are. This Pragmatism Brown is pretty deep even on its own. I've used it blended out as the transition and the deepening shade. It took a little of time to do that, so I'd probably use my bronzer as the transition next time, but it did work. But the main reason for this is it has this great black shade. It's got this pink chameleon multi-chrome that is just beautiful. Let's see if I can swatch that better than that. It's kind of a iridescent shift, kind of a gold to a pink. It's kind of like an eyeshadow version of the multi-chrome highlighter from Kaleidos, which I love. It's my favorite highlighter. It works so beautifully on my skin with that like peachy tone to the pinks to the green. So great. And this is basically that in an eyeshadow. So it's a great inner corner included in a palette. This green is beautiful. This gold silver hybrid is really beautiful, but the main standout are these 4 at the bottom. And I know some of the other palettes from this collection have more of these shades. One of the palettes, one of the smaller palettes from this collection is just these special top shades. And these are amazing. These are worth getting. I love these so much. Let's see if I can swatch them on the back of my hand. They're so pigmented. They're so shifty. They're really sparkly. They just look amazing. And I need more in that formula. So I would definitely include this because I need those sparklies, especially these blues and this teal, because blue is my favorite color. And the 5th palette of the 10 that I would include is the So Jaded palette from Colourpop. This is my favorite Colourpop palette. I have a decent Colourpop collection. It's what I started with because they're so affordable, but also a decent formula. It was a good way for me to explore what kind of shimmers and colors I liked. And this one is just so good. It's one of their big 30 pans. I think it's been discontinued now, which makes me really sad. I've seen it disappear from the site before and then come back, so I'm hoping they do that again. And if they didn't and you don't have it, I'm sorry for including it, but it's just beautiful. It's got great neutrals up here. I've definitely used Rose Quartz Mini Days as that one and done shade with maybe Pearl or Sunstone or something on the lid. It's got this great olivey shade down here called Jade. Some of these purples are just so beautiful. They're really pigmented. I don't like that it has these 2 pressed glitters. I don't really like pressed glitters in a palette. I don't really use them very often, but they are pretty if you do want to use them. Tiger's Eye is amazing. If you want to do a green look, like I've said before, I tend to do green or blue as my eyes, so I just love this. I love that it has a lot of shades, but it's not too big. They're pretty small pans, so you're not getting a huge amount of a bunch of shades. I tend to prefer smaller palettes, but I had to include this because it has so many options that I can incorporate with other things or just use by itself. And the sixth palette that I'm going to mention is a neutral palette. So I knew I needed to have a couple neutrals in there. If I'm only going to have 10 palettes, I have to have a couple steeple neutral things that I can wear. The Zendo has some neutrals, and I do love those, but I needed a little more than that. But you'll see most of these are pretty colorful. So I was torn between this, which is the Enduring Love from Sydney Grace, and the Glam palette from Natasha Denona. And I went with this. I love both, and they both have a great formula. The benefit to this over Glam is that it has this beautiful olive, sucker for an olive, pretty blue, sucker for blue, and it's got these purple shades. So it's still got the cool gray tones, it's got some cool neutral browns, it's got these like pinky tones up here, it's got some silvery tones. So you can go neutral, daily friendly, you can go pretty glam neutral, especially cool tone glam, but you can also incorporate these pops of color that really work well with these cool neutrals. And I am probably going to use this also a lot during the fall when I'm back on campus, because it's just that fall winter vibe of like cool browns and an olive green. And the next palette is also neutral, so I knew I had to have a cool neutral and I had to have a warm neutral. So my warm neutral is going to be the bronze palette from Natasha Denona, and I'm going to open that up because it's so reflective and blinding. I'm sure everybody's seen this before. I love this. I love bronze tones on my skin tone. Some of these can kind of look similar because there's so many bronzes, but they do, I think, all have their differences and attributes that I love. This Bliss shade is amazing. It's this like coppery pink. Deep Dive is one of those cream to matte formulas, really like that for the lash line, or sometimes I'll just use that. I wish there was a little more variety in here. I wish there was something maybe a little lighter and something a little deeper that's not just Deep Dive, and maybe a little more variation in the shades, but I love it. I know some people have said that it's hard to do something subtle and daily friendly with this because they're so pigmented and in your face. I don't have that problem, but most of the people I've seen say that are pretty pale, pretty fair skinned, and so I can see why that would be a problem. For me, they work beautifully. Like this beach shade is basically my skin tone, so that's the lightest shade. Sundown is basically the same depth as my skin, but a little more yellow, so it works pretty well. I can use either of those as a perfect transition shade. So I don't think you have to go as bold with this, but it does go bold pretty quickly and easily, and that's why I included it and Zendo, because Zendo has those other browns that are a little more subdued that I can use any day and I don't have to worry about maybe going a little too far. Okay, and now for the top three. So these three I knew immediately when I thought, okay, I can only have 10 palettes, I have to have these three. Then I knew I had to have a couple neutrals, and then the rest was trying to fill in the gaps with colors that I wear regularly or special shades that I really would want to have. So one of them, I knew when I was picking and I had to have 10, I knew I had to have a blue palette. And I was torn between this and the Stupid Love palette from Hauslabs, which I do really like. I really like the Hauslabs formula. I also have their first palette, and it's a great neutral daily friendly palette, one of my go-tos. But I picked the Nomad Iceland palette, the Fire and Ice, or Land of Fire and Ice. And it's just so beautiful. I knew I had to have blues. I love blues. These blues are beautiful. You've got a couple more icy blues. It's got these beautiful red shades, more reddish orange. These are both pretty orange. And then it's got this red shimmer, which is beautiful, called Hell. Gallows Lava is one of my favorite shades in my entire collection. So if I want to do like a neutral brown and then throw Gallows Lava over it, has this like kind of green, kind of gray vibe that I love. And then these three shades on the end are what push this into it versus another blue palette. because these are just so pretty. These are all duochromes. Apfelheim and Valkyrie are my two favorites. I have worn these many times. I'll do a look from like Lethal Singles or something, but then I'll include one of these because they're just kind of similar to these special shades. They're just so pretty, and they've both got a nice shift to them. So this one's that like blue purple kind of shift, and this one is like pink with, I don't know, but it's like a lavender pink, and they're so good. And Nomad's formula is great. I only have a couple of their palettes so far. I want more. I just haven't bought them yet because they're older and I just haven't gotten around to it. I almost included the America's Park palette as well. That's their newest, and it's beautiful. I love it. It's got nice green, purple, and some like neutrals. This is blue. It's my favorite thing they've done so far. I just love the theme. I love the colors. Everything about this is amazing. And Nomad are also just really nice. I talk to them regularly on Instagram, and they are just the sweetest people. And then the next palette is another one that I knew immediately I would have to have in my 10 if I could only keep 10, and that is the Velvet Dusk palette from Lethal Cosmetics. It's such a beautiful color story. I'm gonna probably wear this a lot in the fall, just like some of those others. It's got a neutral brown and this dark kind of plummy shade. It's like a plummy brown that you can wear with the like champagne and this kind of taupey color if I want to do just a neutral glam look. But it's also got this beautiful mustard. It's got these purples, which I know some people said they weren't a big fan of this top shade here. I've had no problems with it. It's never been patchy for me. It's like a deep inky blue, especially paired with this purple and this purple blue shimmer. So beautiful. I love this bright green, especially on my inner corner. It's got a nice teal. It's got this nice red shade. Like, it's such a versatile palette, especially for the fall. I love it so much. I wear it all year round, but especially in the fall, these are the kind of tones that I'm just drawn to. These greens, these kind of grungy tones. So of course I had to include this. And then the last palette was the very first thing I thought of when I thought, if I could only keep 10 of these, what would I pick? This was the first one that came to mind, and that is the Club Nebula palette, which was the collaboration between Kaleidos and Angelica Nyquist. I love this so much. It is the best thing Kaleidos has done in my opinion, and I'm so proud of her for doing this and so happy that I have it, especially since it's now discontinued. These dark mattes over here are so good. They're the best dark mattes that I have. Red Giant is beautiful, Void is beautiful. I've definitely used these to deepen up shades from other looks just because the palette didn't have a dark color, and I like having that dark outer corner to really add depth. And then the shimmers in here are just so nice. They're mostly those kind of sheer toppery shades that are like an iridescent duochrome, and they're so pretty. Nova, I can read. Nova, and You're My Only Hope and Firefly are three of my favorite shades ever. So you can see that iridescent blue. It's kind of a blue pink. It's kind of hard to see on camera because I don't have a mirror right here. And then this one's that white with a blue. It looks just white on camera, but from my perspective, I see blue. And if I look here, I see blue on camera and kind of a pinky red facing me. And then Firefly is that green with a pink shift, which is so pretty. So if I hold it this way, I just see green on the camera, but if I look over at my hand, I just see pink. And they're so pretty. They change the look of anything you're doing, kind of like my Terra Moon singles in that way. And I love that Kaleidos puts those shades in palettes because those are what really draw me into a palette and make me want to use it more. And these are so nice. One of my favorite looks to do is something simple on the eye, like maybe an eyeliner, a single matte, something like that, and then put one of these in my inner corner and have it kind of come up towards my brow. So impactful, so pretty, but really easy to do. And I always get lots of compliments when I do that. So that is the 10. If I can only keep 10 palettes out of my current collection, this is what I would pick. I think it gives me an options for daily friendly, some neutrals in both warm and cool tones, and then all the pretty blues and sparkly shades that I use on a regular basis. And I think this is going to be a video that I'm going to repeat periodically, maybe like once a year, because I think as my collection changes, the palettes will change, and I really want to see how that'll happen in the future. So if you could only keep 10 palettes, if you have more than 10 palettes, what would you include? I think that's really interesting because everybody's answers are so different from each other. So let me know down below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.